Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will go on with my Kcse prediction, English paper 3. And in this series, I am considering the various essays on compulsory set text. And this year, the compulsory set text that will be tested on is Johann Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House. Let's look at today's question, and the question reads, outward appearance cannot be an indicator of someone's character or value. Using illustrations from Johann Henrik Ibsen's play A Doll's House, validate this statement. As we know, first of all, you must have an introduction to your essay. And a sample introduction will be sometimes, or in Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House, things are not always as they seem. So in the introduction, you paraphrase what you understand by the question. After that, we now move into the various points. And looking at the board here, I have handled this question on 3 columns. The first column is the identification of the character that I'll talk about. The second column, I will bring to the fore the outward appearance in that character. And then lastly, I'll look at the real character that has been discovered later on, or that is behind the veneer of the appearance that has been put up on the surface. Before that, viewers, allow me to thank all my subscribers who continue to make our channel to be the way it is. Again, to those who are new here, let me humbly request you to kindly hit onto the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that anytime we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. First point, I am going to discuss Torvald. And the outward appearance on Torvald is that Torvald appears to be loving towards Nora. And the devil is always in the details. What fails most candidates is the failure to bring to the fore the various illustrations from the text. So the appearance of love by Torvald comes out from Nora's conversation with Mrs. Lind and Dr. Rank. When Mrs. Lind asks Nora when she will ultimately tell her husband about her secret, she says that when Torvald Helmer is no longer as devoted to her as he is presently. Again, in their conversation with Dr. Rank, Nora tells Rank that Torvald is inexpressibly, devotedly, deeply in love with her, and that Torvald won't hesitate to take his life for her sake. There are also assurances that Torvald himself also gives. At one point, Torvald tells Nora that come what will, she may be sure that he, Torvald, shall have both courage and strength if they be needed, and that he will be man enough to take everything upon himself. Again, he tells Nora that he has often wished for a time that Nora was threatened by some great danger, so that he might risk his life's blood and everything for her sake. At one point, Torvald also tells Nora that he is not a heartless a man as to condemn a man for a single false step. All these leads Nora to think that the wonderful thing, which is paradoxically also terrible, is going to happen. And that is that in case of her crisis, then Torvald is going to stand with her. But then the real character of Torvald is unraveled after reading Krogstad's letter that has detailed the forgery and the fraud that was committed by Nora in raising the 250 pounds loan behind his back to take him for treatment in Italy or to the south. After receiving Krogstad's letter, now Nora Helmer, who was hitherto been a skylark, a little lark, featherhead, featherbrain, all of a sudden become a miserable creature with silly excuses, a thoughtless woman, a hypocrite, a liar, and was a criminal. The second point here is that on Nora. And Nora appears to Helmer and Mrs. Lind as naive and ignorant of the complexities of life. Helmer always seems to interact with Nora as a pet that should amuse him. She is his little lark, she is his little skylark and little squirrel. Unknown to Torvald, Nora dearly loves him and really understands the complexities of life. Again, Mrs. Kristen Lind, when she visits the Helmers, it also occurs that she is viewing Nora as naive and like a child. She says that Nora, you are a child, because she has only heard of trifles from Nora. Unknown to these two, it occurs that Nora, when her husband Torvald Helmer left his job because there was no prospect of promotion, he overworked himself, became dreadfully ill, and the doctors advised that he be taken to the south, and Nora had to procure 250 pounds loan from Krogstad behind the husband's back. This is quite unheard of in this patriarchal society, which places personal inhibitions for women. The third character we will be talking about is Dr. Rank. Dr. Rank pretends to be on intimate levels, on a kind of intimate friendship with Torvald Helmer. At one point, when Torvald tells Nora to invite Dr. Rank for dinner, Nora says that as a matter of course, Dr. Rank will be there because he is a family friend. Nora also tells Mrs. Lind that Dr. Rank is an intimate friend of Torvald's. Later on, it occurs that Torvald confesses his love for Nora, who is the wife to his very closest friend, Torvald. When Nora tells Torvald, when Nora tells Dr. Rank that Torvald is inexpressibly and devotedly, deeply in love with her, Dr. Rank says or asks that is Torvald the only one, suggesting that he also loves Nora. Again, he tells Nora that Nora can be in his company just the same way she is in Torvald's. The last character we will be looking at here is Krogstad. And Krogstad appears to want to assist Nora to save Torvald's life. And at one point, when Krogstad confesses to Nora that he was guilty of indiscretion, he says that every way seemed close to him after that. His children are now coming up, and he must try to regain as much respect as possible. And in trying to survive, he had to take to the business that Nora knows of. Again, when Mrs. Lane first sees Krogstad at the Helmers, she comments about the kind of business that people normally say that Krogstad engages in. So it is Krogstad who unscrupulously lent out the £250 loan to Nora. And in this society, a woman should not borrow money without the husband's consent. Krogstad later on cashes in on this discrepancy or this kind of fraud or forgery by Nora to try to compel her to persuade her husband Torvald to retain him at the bank. Krogstad blackmails Nora when he tactfully forces her to confess that she has committed a fraud. From their conversation, it comes out that the bond that Krogstad drew up for Nora being given the £250 loan, the signature of Nora's papa, who was the assumed guarantor, was signed on 2nd of October. Krogstad gets Nora to confess that her papa died on 29th of September. Again, Krogstad also makes Nora to confess that the signing and the date were written in her own words. So, handwriting, I mean. So, Krogstad looks forward to cash in on this discrepancy and fraud to compel Nora to persuade her husband Torvald to retain him at the bank. So his malicious nature, he comes out, his blackmail tactics come out because he was really aware that the discrepancy had taken place even by the time he was giving the loan. Viewers, those are the points that we have for the essay question that we have here. Maybe at the end you can do a conclusion. Something like, in conclusion, we should never judge a book by its cover. Another way of asking this question would be, things aren't the way they seem. We can also have appearance is deceptive. Then we can also have never judge a book by its cover. The responses or the answers remain the same. Thank you very much, viewers. Until next time.